Kilo Queen 4, Golf Charlie, Norway.
Kilo Queen 4, Golf Charlie, November. Thanks for the call, Tony. Nice to have back on train. Merry Christmas, as you wrote before the other day.
Well, Merry Christmas to you, too. Thanks for taking my call. You got a great sounding radio up there. I've got you 5.9 as well, 73s.
Forward the propagation. K.A. Charlie, QRZ.
All right, so you got to hear a little action there on this old Yaesu FT-101B. And this is the latest hobby project here on the hobby bench. I got this for a really great price, 150 bucks. So far I've done some work to it. I've replaced these two incandescent lamps here with LEDs. This one was actually out, so I just went ahead and replaced both of them so they would match. Every single problem I've run into so far on this radio has been fixed by Deoxit, unbelievably. I had issues with the band switch. I had issues with the AF gain, RF gain. I had issues with the ICPO ALC switch, the transmit receive relay and the chassis. I needed to take that out and take it apart and clean it, clean all the contacts with Deoxit, and got that working. And also the clarifier switch potentiometer combo here was an issue. The switch poles internally weren't making contact, so I didn't have a ground for the clarifier circuit, so that was inoperable. Got the clarifier pot out enough to be able to see in there that there was a slot to put some Deoxit down in there. Did that. Deoxit fixed that. So yeah, so far, let's see, I've set the resting cathode current, I've set my ALC, I neutralized the tubes, and I've started to, over here, replace the electrolytic capacitors inside this old girl. So I've done a lot of them so far. I'm probably only halfway through, just even with all this I've done. For the big 100 microfarad 500 volt main filter caps, I used from Parts Express, I used a couple of can capacitors that have dual 100 microfarad 500 volt caps inside of them, and I just wired one side of each and then installed them in the chassis, and that worked out just fine. And that's really about it. Once I get the electrolytic capacitors completely changed out in the radio, then I'll go ahead and do an alignment on it. But so far, it's just been a lot of fun to play with this radio. This is the first one I've ever owned. I'm just learning as I go on this chassis. Don't know really anything about it at all, so I'm just picking it up as I go. And it's been a lot of fun to use. There's just something to be said to just having to roll the VFO and find a station and dial it in, as opposed to like using something like a Yaesu FT-DX10 or the ICOM IC7300 up there, or the Yaesu FT-710, and being able to see the stations on the spectrum scope. This is a completely different ball game. Plus, fine tuning here via the pre-selector, the plate and the loading controls, and getting a good resonance is fun to set that up. And this radio will do a full 200 watts out on, so far I've done it on 80, 40, 20, and I think it does. And it could just be me not setting up my tuner exactly right, but I've only managed to get about 150 watts peak out on 15 meter and 10 meter, but I think that's probably just me. But we'll see as I get more experience with the chassis here. It could be something I need to address. Maybe it's in the alignment. I really don't know. But I'm going to pop the cover off the top and the bottom, and I'll show you how I did those filter caps. I think that's kind of interesting. And then we'll go from there. So I'll be back here shortly. All right, so we got the top cover off here, and you can see our new filter capacitors installed. So what I did was use the original clamps. I actually had bought new clamps with these replacement capacitors, but they weren't fitting in the chassis all that well. So I just improvised, and I put a single layer of orange fusion tape around the base of each of these, and then they just fit I made up the diameter I was missing, and they fit into the old original clamps just fine. So yeah, worked out great. I've got all the capacitors replaced on the regulator board here, the noise blanker board. This board here had, geez, 25 electrolytic capacitors all on its own. So I've just been slowly going through the chassis, and I haven't done all at once because I've been having so much fun using it that it's just taken me a while to get through it. Originally, when I bought the radio, of course, you get something like this, you have no idea what kind of condition it's in. And I was running the radio through that dim bulb tester there just to be on the safe side. I didn't want to short, especially one of those main filter capacitors out and then just melt the transformer. So I was playing it safe. But now that I've got everything on the regulator board done and the main filter caps done, I've just got it plugged into a wall socket. And yeah, I've been really, really pleased with it. Let's see if we just find a quiet place on the band here, and we'll look at the output power. So let's say maybe right about there. So over here on the, I'm using this MFJ tuner here, and then I just look at reflected power on the MFJ tuner, and then just look at peak power over there on the CN901. And I'm not sure if we're going to be exactly resonant right here, but we'll give it a shot. We'll just do a test, and we can see the output power. And the CN901 over there is set to the 200 watt scale. All right, so here we go, and the peak is on the CN901. KQ4 GCN audio test. So you say we're pretty flat there as far as VSWR, and she's putting out a full 200 watts there. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun with this radio so far. So we'll just get back to using it and slowly working on it and slowly learning from it. I just thought I'd share this since it was the newest project here. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. 73s.